Okay, welcome back to Self-Made. I've got another lovely guest on today. This is Jenna Kay. She is another one of the people in my Booked Out Cleaners program, and over the last couple of weeks and the next few weeks, I'll be kind of bringing people in from my community in to talk to them about their business journey and just get people to learn more about the other people in our space, because it's really cool to see all the different folks in here that are doing great things. So Jenna operates a business called Cardamom Cleaning in Perth, same sort of city as me, except she's up the top end of it and I'm more the bottom end. So Perth, if you don't know, is I think it's the most spread out capital city in the world in terms of like north to south. So it's like you're pretty much in a different state to me with how far away you are.
It feels like it sometimes, especially like now. Because I was in the north originally, and I thought, oh, we're getting a bit of interest down south. It is like having two different businesses. They just don't gel all that well together. It feels, there's definitely a big divide there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big gap. But yeah, Jenna, thanks so much for coming on the podcast. Very keen to chat to you and learn more about your business. But let's start off with just getting to know you a bit better. So could you tell us a bit about your come up in the business game? How'd you start? How'd you even come into the cleaning space, and where are you now?
Well, that was a lot. So I'll start from the right at the beginning there. So Cardamom was kind of born out of necessity. So go back maybe about 4 years ago. My background is primarily hospitality. So I was finding myself in the same loops of burnout continuously throughout hospitality, which I think a lot of people will be able to understand that. And I needed something that I could transfer my skills to that had a low startup cost, a low barrier of entry, even though I had an extensive amount of understanding about cleaning, traveling around the world. I'm from the UK. So when I needed to get out, kind of seemed like an obvious solution to my problem. And then I just kind of snowballed from there, really. That was 4 years ago now. And yeah, now I kind of have a team of 13 at the moment. A management team of 5. I'm planning on scaling. And I am on a podcast. So I didn't see that coming.
That's awesome. So your team of 13, does that include the 5 management?
Yeah, so that includes myself. So the structure is at the moment, which I've had to restructure recently, which we've spoke about before. So there's obviously myself, managing director. I've now got an ops manager, Kelsey. She's an absolute dream. I didn't think I'd meet anyone as driven as I was in the business, but she met my match there. I've got 2 VAs now, Jasmine and Gail, who are absolutely incredible, keeping the engine room running. And I've also got Josie as well. So she's my senior team member, and she's just been delegated everything to do with products, ordering, equipment, storage units, and she's looking after that now. So that's our team at the moment, and we're constantly hiring, and it keeps getting bigger and bigger. Yeah.
Brilliant. So you are well and truly equipped to scale.
That's the idea. Yeah, that's the idea now. Yeah.
Cool. So where are you at now in terms of revenue level versus, when you started 4 years ago? Obviously you started at 0, but how far have you come in 4 years?
Well, I think my first year I had 12,000 revenue around there. Second year was 24,000. Third year, I want to say, do you know what? I can't even remember third year now.
Give us a ball.
I think it was about 5. No, it wasn't. Towards 50, I reckon. Last year, I think I should give a bit of context to what was going on in those years. I kind of, as much as Cardamom was born out of necessity, it ended up becoming a side hustle, because in order to stay in the country, I had to go through the visa process, and that's where I had to go back into full-time management and hospitality. So that took a lot of my focus for the first 3 years, for 2 years, maybe. Yeah, roughly there. So the numbers were small because I just didn't have the capacity to be able to do anything with it. I couldn't give it its full attention. So it was only until last year where I decided to put my foot down on the pedal that everything kind of exploded. So, we've just had the end of financial year now. It was nearly 4x on what I did the year before,
Wow.
which I aimed for 5, but that's fine. I knew if I aimed high, I would get quite high, and I did. So yeah, nearly 4x on the year before, which is absolutely incredible. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, look, if you shoot for the stars and only reach the moon, then hey, you're still doing a good
Still
thing.
going to the moon.
Yeah, exactly. So wow, that's crazy growth. And even the first 3 years, even though, we're only talking 10, 30,000, you're still doubling every year.
Yeah.
And to go, 4x, nearly 5x in the most recent year, that's a pretty big move. So walk us through that. How did you achieve that level of growth in 1 year? Was it mainly just the team building? Was it building systems? Was it going all out on marketing and sales? What's the last 12 months been like in business for you?
There's been a lot of mistakes, a lot of mistakes, but that's probably where it was beneficial doing it now before going ahead. Last 12 months, there's been a lot of changes. So I joined Booked Out Cleaners beginning of June last year. So I've only been in there for 13 months now. I carried on going with trying to get everything out of my head onto paper or into some kind of system, because I knew that I needed to start building a team pretty quickly, and I did. And I've still got some of those, so the original team members now, which I'm very fortunate for. And so that was the initial beginnings of it. When I got to about, say, September, October, I realized that I couldn't have the phone on me all the time. I couldn't be cleaning and picking up the phone. It was getting to the point where I wasn't even cleaning. I was just on the phone, and it was no good for anyone. So I needed something centralized. And I think I asked in the Q&A, or maybe on the dashboard, about what kind of CRM or systems to use. And that's where I was introduced to GHL by itself. So I wanted to implement that. But if anyone uses GHL, they'll know it's not the most user-friendly software to start getting used to straight away. So that's where I used your module on get hiring your first VA. So I did hire a few VAs before I found Jasmine, but they actually stepped me back a little bit. I needed someone to just take over the GHL side of things, as well as taking over answering calls and stuff like that. And they were just not doing what they said that they could do. So at the same time as introducing my VA and GHL, I was trying to find ways to basically get an influx of leads. I was ready to scale, or at least I thought I was. And this is probably my biggest mistake that I've made in the last 12 months. I thought that I could leave them to it with the VA and GHL. And I went to Perth Mums Who, shout out to them, lovely, lovely women. And the reason I went to them is because we shared a similar demographic. So I just said, look, if I clean for both of you for free, can we do a competition, some kind of collab? And they took me on board. We had similar values, and it was a big influx. It was a huge influx. So to put it in terms of numbers, so it's all relative. I think at that stage I had maybe 20 to not quite 30, maybe 25 clients. I ended up tripling my client base within 6 weeks. I said yes too many times. Wow. I like the first day when the competition was posted, I had 50 new leads come through GHL. I couldn't see to them, and my VA couldn't see to all them straight away. So, a lot of money was left on the table because I wasn't prepared for it. But I didn't keep an eye on quality assurance. I wasn't watching what my staff were doing. And as much as I technically scaled quite a bit, my service severely lacked. So I won't be making that mistake again. And so that was so we're in about November now. once Jasmine came along and she introduced Gail as the other VA, brilliant. That all started piecing together. I originally then, because from the Perth Mums Who competition, we had a lot of interest south of the river. So I thought if I had a team leader south of the river, team leader north of the river, I'm pretty central. I can go wherever. That would work. It just didn't end up working like that. So yeah, recently I just had to do a reshuffle based on what people's strengths were and what was actually happening in the business. I thought the south of the river would take off a lot quicker than it did, but it just didn't. So I had to then go back to the drawing board and work out what was actually the next best move for Cardamom, and that's what's happened with the reshuffle. Yeah.
Cool. Actually, just in saying that, south of the river, for people that don't know Perth, you got north and south. South is actually quite a slow moving market, which I've experienced as well. So we are predominantly, there's the first phone of the episode going off.
Had to be me, didn't it?
But yeah, it's usually me, so I'm glad it's someone else this time. But yeah, south of the river is definitely a slower market, and I found that out because I'm predominantly south. And so I think the reason for this is because like north, there's a lot more development up north. So that's where all the new estates are, and there's a lot more people moving into these newer developments. And you just don't really get that more south of the river unless you go really far south, which is like a different city altogether. Is that like an alarm or something?
Yeah, do you mind if I just turn it off?
That's okay. Yeah, it's I'll cut this little bit out.
Yeah, we'll cut that. That's our first bit to cut out. Yeah.
That's okay. All right, the alarm is gone. Where was I? Got to re-rail my train of thought.
Development south and north.
Yeah, so you're going to find this in any area where there's just these pockets of slow growth, and it's usually because it's an older market, particularly like the closer you are to a CBD, the closer you are to a city, the older the market is. Like the longer that dwellings have been there, people have been there. And so what you get is usually get people that are, asset rich, cash flow poor, but also they have a lot of time. Like there's a lot of older folks living closer to the city, particularly on the outskirts in the south. And then, so because of that, they don't really, most people do the cleaning themselves, or they've had cleaners for years and years that they use. And so I've found that in Perth, the north of the river stuff is really, really rampant because you get so many new developments up there. There's all these new like little estates, and they're like the perfect demographic for us because it's like dual income. They're very time poor, but they've got a lot of disposable income.
Yeah.
So, and you'll find that anywhere. Like I know there's pockets of Sydney that are like that. People are struggling to get it off the ground in one area, but then they find that this other pocket just takes off, and other people have said similar things. So it's really important that people get in tune with their market and figure out the hot spots and also on the other end, the weaker spots, because you can just get bogged down in trying to, grow in an area that just isn't really, it's not really optimized for growth. And sometimes you might have to go a little bit out of that area, if not just double down and take a bit more time. So yeah, that was my experience as well. I've only really just started to hit the ground running south of the river in Perth. Like it's only just started to take stride. But yeah, let's talk about your management team now. So we were talking just before this podcast about how you hired VAs, and they obviously say they can do one thing on paper, but then it turns out they're not the strongest at it in practice.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about that, because I've made that mistake as well. How were you vetting these VAs, and how were you training them, and what was that whole process of finding the right one?
Well, the original idea was I needed someone proficient in GHL, so I was looking on their resumes to see if they were. And to be fair, I was at a point then where I was borderline desperate for someone to get on board. I waited too long to get a VA. I don't know, I can't even remember why I waited that long, because I've been pretty on the ball with preparing every other role since. And if I can foresee that I need something, I'll usually get it now, so I don't find myself in that situation where I'm rushing. But to be honest, I wasn't even vetting them. I was just getting them on board and going, this is what I need to do. Can you do it? And they'll go, yeah. And they couldn't. But funny enough, Jasmine, the VA that I have now, was the first person that I ever interviewed. And as much as I got on with her and I loved her, I said, have you worked with GHL? And she's like, not a lot, but I really want to learn a lot more about it. And that's something I should have picked up on, because the fact that she wanted to learn more, she would have been a better candidate than the ones that said that they could do it. But yeah, that's
yeah. For people that don't know what GHL is, it's Go High Level, which is like an all-in-one CRM kind of thing, and it is very overwhelming the first time you open that app, because it's got like literally every single thing you could possibly want done in a business it can do. So like, I remember the first time I opened it, I was actually on and off it for a couple of years, because I tried to learn it, but there's just so many things to learn, and I didn't really have the time for it, that I just left it, and I was like, I'll do this another day. And then I finally got into it. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to get stuck into it and learn enough just to know how it works. And then like you, I also looked at getting a consultant on board to like help me out. And then I looked at getting a VA to do some stuff with it. But it's like, it is very overwhelming when you open an app like that, and it's like a million different things you have to learn.
Incredibly overwhelming. Yeah.
And with that, there's so much nuance in, like, if you get a VA in that says they can do that, it's like, okay, but there's like so much nuance to a software like that. It's like they can work completely different to someone else that also says they do the same thing in GHL. So I get what you mean, and I can imagine it would have been a struggle.
It was very. I just felt like I was already desperate for what I wanted from having a VA and having this new software implemented. That I will not be making that mistake again. And I haven't, thankfully, done that mistake again. But if it wasn't for everyone in Booked Out Cleaners, I wouldn't have pursued GHL. It was the fact that yourself and other people were like, no, stick at it. It's actually really good. It's just the most overwhelming thing when you're looking at it. And I found that some of the terminology that they were using as well, I was like, why would you make
like
that
opportunities?
Yeah, like reputation. I was like, why would you not just put reviews? Like, it's just same but very different. So I was like, yeah, it's just not clicking until it does. It does click.
It's a lot to wrap your head around. And
yeah,
I get what you mean with the terminology too. We actually changed all the terminology of opportunities to leads and stuff like that, just because it's less confusing that way. But yeah, sometimes you do just need like a good community to sometimes like rally together and like 100%. Push you to do something. Because I can say there's a lot of things that I put off doing for a long time because I was in my own head about it, or I told myself that it wasn't the right idea, or that it would be too hard or overwhelming. And in hindsight, like, obviously I just wish I'd jumped into it sooner. Like GHL, I wish I got into Go High Level a lot quicker than I did, because it would have saved me so much time and hassle. And so what are you primarily using it for? Is it like the lead pipeline and like the sales aspect of it, or are you using like a lot of different parts of it?
I'm actually, we're using quite a lot of different parts to it now. So obviously opportunities in the pipeline. So that's with not just clients, but staff as well. They'll go through their own pipelines. We use the digital signing. We've got it connected to the website for the forms. So part of lead generation there. We do the quoting process through it. So Jasmine's actually learnt coding amazing, and she's come up with such a streamlined way of doing the quoting process now, which connects to certain clients. So we've got that as well. We do kind of use reputation. We've obviously conversations. That's our central hub now. No matter who in the management team is where they are, there's a central hub now to see all the communications between any team member with any client, so we can see everything in one place. We've got a text line and a main line on there. There's absolute automations. We've automated, nearly everything now. So we're really taking advantage of it. Yeah,
it's a pretty great software. And there are so many things that, like, when I first started using it, I literally just used it for the virtual SMS conversations. And then slowly over time, I adopted more and more of it, like the lead pipeline, The reputation I love just for responding to reviews automatically. So if anyone has Go High Level and doesn't know about this, you can just get it. You can turn on this AI reviews thing in it where it will respond to any 5-star review you get, and you can train it. You can like tell it, you are the marketing manager of Enhanced Cleaning. This is how I want you to respond. No M dashes, blah, blah, blah. This is an example of a good review response. And you can train it how you want it to reply, and it will reply to all of your reviews for you. It can also ask for reviews, so it can go to your client base and request reviews to everyone. And for us in the cleaning business, like reviews are pretty much paramount when it comes to SEO. So farming reviews is something that I'm always trying to do. And having that little tool, even just responding to them automatically, is such a big help. And it's like, it seems so simple and mundane. And it's like, well, you can just do it manually and it takes 4 seconds. But it's all these little things that add up over time. It just takes a little bit off your plate and like a little bit of mental bandwidth off you as well. It's like one less thing you have to think about, which is amazing too. So yeah, GHL is great. I'm glad that it's been very impactful on your business, and it's helped systemize and scale. So yeah. Is there any other system you're using at the moment which has been a really big help in the business, similar to GHL?
Yeah, Connect Team has been, funny enough, I've just got off the phone to them before this. Connect Team have been there from when I made Cardamom to a company, I think. Yeah, I pretty much got them on board straight away. Fantastic for small businesses if you're under 10. Then you do have to pay for anything over 10. But yeah, so how we operate with the two softwares is basically GHL is for back of house. So that's more the client where we nurture clients, send out reminder emails, the calendars, of course, on there as well. And then we have Connect Team for front of house. So that will be all the communication between the staff and management and the VAs. We've got the rostering on there, clocking in and out. We've got the knowledge base as well. There's courses. It's just very front of house and back of house. That's how we kind of operate at the moment. Unfortunately, they don't talk to each other, which is a bit frustrating, but we have slowly. But this is one of the reasons I was talking to Connect Team. I was hoping that they could solve a few areas where we needed more fluidity and automation, and they've solved it. So that's pretty good. So they're the two main systems that we use, besides Xero, of course. Within Cardamom at the moment, and we're pretty happy with them.
Well, you're doing a lot better than me, because I have like 30 different softwares I use every day. And it's my subscriptions bill is not nice to look at. It is a lot. But I'm such a perfectionist when it comes to software. Like if there's one tiny little thing I like about a software that like something like GHL doesn't have, I'll just go and get that. Like Typeform, I pay for Typeform, which is like I probably spend $1,000 a year on that. And I just like the fact that it segments the form process, whereas like GHL, it puts it all out in one page.
Yeah.
And I just like Typeform that it goes like one question to the next and the next, and it's like a sequence and all the questions are in different pages. So I'll like pay for convenience and things I like, but it's, it costs a lot of money and it's not very efficient.
But would you not go to GHL and go, hey, what about this? Have you suggested things to them?
I'm a pretty quiet user of a lot of software. I don't really give feedback. I think this is like a bad habit I picked up from my days of like way back when I was using ZenMaid, and I used to like put a lot of requests in, and they were just like, the requests got picked up and then they got acted on like 4 years later, and I'm like, well, this isn't even like worth me voicing an opinion at this point. So, but I've gone like the complete opposite direction, and I'm now just like developing whatever I want. So,
which is
like
amazing.
The new system that we built for Enhanced, like the back end, it pretty much replaces most things that we use. Like I've slowly started getting rid of subscriptions in turn for this. And the next big thing that I'm trying to tackle is a scheduling system, which I think would be really, really cool if we can get that going. So I've been like just going back and forth with AI, just like getting it to question me and like interview me about the technology stack and what I want from it. And so that's like a big picture thing that I want to potentially explore. So, I mean, there's so many possibilities with AI especially. Have you dipped your toes in the water of AI much lately?
Well, when you started, there was a few Q&As where you were showing us Claude code for a while, and it's definitely perked my interest. I don't use ChatGPT anymore. It's more going towards Claude, and that's what my VAs use now. They use Claude. I wouldn't say that I'm super heavily diving into AI at the moment. It hasn't called for anything that I need it for quite yet. The only element to it that I'll probably use on a regular basis is within Connect Team at the moment, where AI will write automations for you. But other than
Yeah,
that,
stuff like that's really cool.
yeah. So like other than that, I haven't, like you were talking about the reputation, and you can have AI write your review for you automatically. I haven't taken that on board either. That's something that is still down to my VAs and my ops manager to do, or myself. I'm just terrified that it will be really obvious that we're using AI and it will take out that element of service. But that's because I've not used AI enough to understand it properly, to make sure that I'm teaching it not to basically sound like me or sound like one of us. But yeah, so I wouldn't say I've gone too far into it, but yeah, I'm sure I will. It's inevitable, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a good thing too, because AI for the most part is just a big distraction for a lot of people, especially in business. Like I've seen a lot of people, they've really halted their growth because they've tried to go deep into AI, because it's like, it's the new thing. It's like the new hot topic right now. And everyone's just getting caught up in it. And it's like, they're missing the fact that all that really matters is like delivering a good service and getting more leads and making more sales. And AI can accelerate that process, but most people are just trying to like automate things that they don't really need to automate, and they're like creating like quality of life things that don't really matter. So for the most part, it's a big distraction, but if you do it the right way and you've got your head screwed on right, it can be a really good accelerator. And like to what you said about writing stuff, I've actually made a rule for myself that I do not get AI to write anything for me anymore. The reviews is a bit different because I've like put a lot of guardrails on that and trained it how I want it to write.
Yeah.
But I just found myself like, I just feel like I'm thinking less for myself, and I was almost reliant on AI to come up with my own thoughts, which is like the complete opposite way you should be using AI. So I've just told myself like, I'm not using AI to write anything, like emails, like LinkedIn posts, Instagram captions, like that is all just going to come from me now, because I feel like everyone is just kind of losing their own ability to just like conjure information and thoughts. It's really bad.
I say, like I say, I'm not using AI. I think I might have got this from yourself or someone else I know. Dictating into AI has actually benefited me. This is actually where I do use AI. So yeah, I do. Talking into Claude and having that back and forth. Because I have ADHD and I've only recently been diagnosed, I'm learning more about how I can learn better or do certain things better, or making sense of how I just live life or in business. And one of the things is how I process things. So I verbally process. Well, I don't live with my family. I don't have a partner. I live by myself. I might go to a client's house and no one's there. So I can't talk a lot to people sometimes. And by talking and dictating into AI, I can actually then process what I'm thinking, and it's recording it at the same time. So it's a double win. So yeah, I guess that's kind of the opposite of using it to think for you. It's helping me think. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. You don't want it. You don't want it to replace your brain. You want it to just aid in your ideation and thinking and everything, which is like the shift that I've made recently. Like I've spent a lot of time, as you would have seen in the Q&A, like I'm making an AI brain of myself.
Yeah.
And so like I'm like the problem that most people have with AI is that they just use it at face value. And the way AI is designed is it's going to look at all the information that is available on the internet. It's going to take the input that you give it, and it's going to give you like the average answer based on that information, if it doesn't have any other context. So if you want to really use AI to the best of its ability, you need to give it a lot of context and like really specific prompts. And it needs to have like if you want it to write for you, like what we were just talking about, it needs to have guardrails. It needs to have very specific prompts. It needs to be trained on like your voice. So you need to give it like transcripts and like emails you've written. And it's a process.
Yeah.
99.9% of people aren't going to do that with AI. So yeah, when they generate AI stuff and they put it out there, like it's obviously AI slop. And so that's all I've been trying to avoid that like the plague, because it is so painfully obvious. And I feel like it's deterring a lot of people from doing business with brands now, because they see it's just like so obviously AI.
Yeah. I feel like it's kind of shifting where, you know, people want to buy from real people. And if it is so obvious when something has been used with AI. And yeah, I completely agree with you. It just turns people off. It turns people away, and it's just so detrimental to business. Yeah, it's not ideal.
Yeah, well, even as a consumer now, like if I see a business that puts up an ad that is obviously generated by Claude, like the image, I don't even look at it, because it's so obvious. Like the colors they use, the glows, the format of it, and then the writing as well, like the words they use, like this genuinely, honestly, henceforth, and like the M dashes and putting things in threes. Like it's just so obvious when things are AI, and it just instantly turns that part of my brain off, and I just disregard it now. So I feel like that's the way the market's going. I think when AI first came around, everyone loved it for making content, because suddenly we were able to do so much more than we ever could before. But now that everyone's doing it, it's kind of lost all that value. So now we need to use it more for just accelerating operations and processes that we already have, which I think is the real power.
The mundane, the menial stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of things that can be repeated, you can probably just automate with AI. And that's majority of what I've been doing. I'm like lucky enough to be in a position where I can just spend like 8 hours a day on this stuff, and it's not gonna affect my business that I'm spending so much time away from it. So that's been great. But I do largely think that it is just a distraction for a lot of people. So if you're not using AI right now, or anyone listening isn't really using it, and they're like getting FOMO and they feel like they're missing out, don't buy too much into the hype. Like everyone says it's the best thing ever, and it's going to replace any employees you have, and you can run your whole business off of one AI agent. It's not true. I've tried to do things like that. It isn't ever going to replace anything. It's just going to accelerate stuff.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And you've even done a podcast on that already, haven't you?
Yeah, it's probably at some point. I think I did. Yeah.
You're losing count.
I've lost track. Yeah.
Losing track. I've done now. The thing is, I'm re-listening to everything at the moment, so
yeah.
I know.
Well, it's funny because when I was training. Yeah. When I was training my AI bot, because the people listening to this won't know, but I'm making an AI bot of myself that's trained on all of my experience and knowledge and stuff. And part of that learning process for the AI bot was I downloaded all the transcripts of every podcast I've ever done and uploaded that into its brain. And then I just like chatted with myself with this bot. And I was like relearning stuff about myself that I'd forgotten I've ever said. And I was like, oh, I never thought of it like that. And it was like, it was really like opening my own mind up by using my own thoughts from like 2 years ago. And I was like, this is such an interesting discovery process.
Yeah.
So, but it's funny when people that have like listened to the podcast as well, they'll say something that I said like 2 years ago. And I'm like, I said that? Really?
Yeah. That's probably me, yeah. And especially because I'm re-listening. It's very ingrained in my head at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty I leave things up. I don't ever delete episodes. There's probably things that I will like contradict myself 100 episodes later, but I think it's good to leave that up there because it shows the progression of how I think as well.
Yeah.
And I also can't be bothered going back and editing anything. It's too much work.
Yeah,
I like just pressing record and then letting it go out there. I'm not good at editing this stuff clearly because I still don't have like any intro or anything this far in. But yeah, so you've been listening to the podcast as well. You're a listener. Do you know how long you've been listening for? Has it been like before you joined Booked Out Cleaners as well, or around the same time?
Yeah, that's how I found you. So I was listening to you, pretty much from the beginning, I think. I distinctly remember doing my morning walk starting one and then going round and doing a few laps, and then I'd go and clean and I would do the next one. So yeah, I've pretty much been listening to you from the beginning. And the reason I'm re-listening is because now I'm so further ahead than I was when I started listening, that I'm picking up new bits of information that I missed out, and that's applicable to where I am in the business now. So yeah, and that's how I found Booked Out Cleaners, was obviously through the podcast. So yeah, that's pretty much how I came on board.
That's a really cool point you made as well, that now you're in a better position to receive information.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the like you can learn stuff, but you might not be in the position where you can actually really process that properly.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you've picked up on, like, again, or something that you've relearned that now, like, there's been a light bulb moment where you've actually been able to act on that or implement something?
There's been so many. I probably couldn't pinpoint certain things now, but I think there is a few episodes where it just wasn't applicable to me where I was at the time. So even though I started the episode, I was like, I'm just not there at the moment. So I'd then go back and go, yeah, this is exactly where I am now. So I would get a lot more from it and absorb that information properly. So I wouldn't say there was there's just been so many things that I've got collectively from the podcast, in the program, from the community, that, yeah, I just probably couldn't pinpoint anything at the moment. There's just been so much. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same. I listen to podcasts and I'll re-listen to stuff as well.
Yeah.
And I'll save something as well. If I listen to it and I can, like, tell that there's value in it, even if it doesn't apply to me right then, I might think, like, oh, this might be useful in like a year's time. I'll just save that and bookmark it for later. And also, like, this is one thing I've remembered I said in the podcast, is that we need to often be reminded more than we need to be taught. So
yes, you have said
especially
that.
with books. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah. So, like, I reread a lot of the same books because, like, most business books are more or less the same. They just say the same thing in a different way. So I like to read a couple of books over and over again, like The Secrets Trilogy by Russell Brunson. I've read them like 5 times because it's good to just, like, nail these things into your brain, a lot of these principles, because a lot of the time, like, reminding yourself of things you already know is going to be a lot more impactful on your business and on yourself than just learning new information that's probably going to go in one ear and out the other.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I will be implementing is within the business is when I'm going through certain things and I can't articulate properly how I'm going to say a particular thing. I think one of the things that just popped in my head then was the episode on, was it anecdotal versus analytical data? And if I'm trying to make my ops manager see what I'm seeing and I can't articulate what I'm trying to say, I just go, there's the podcast for you. You listen to this while you're doing your next clean, and then we can be on the same page about it. So yeah, there's that also to add to it.
Well, that's a good exercise as well, just like kind of pigeonholing different episodes where, you know, like this will be good to use as a reference for what I'm trying to articulate or what I'm trying to get across. And you can do that with anything. You can do that with a book. You can do it with YouTube videos, with podcasts. I think anyone listening to this, that is a really good principle that you can kind of take with you and use, especially when you're building a team. Like, sometimes it is easy. Like, I'm not the best at explaining things sometimes, but I know exactly what I'm trying to get across if I can just, like, send it in the form of a video that someone else has done. So I do that all the time. I do that with cleaning stuff. Part of our training program is we have videos of other people on YouTube showing how to make beds. I'm like, just go watch this video. Like,
yeah. There you go. There you go. That's for you now. Yeah.
That's usually the easiest way to do it. But yeah, so you've obviously achieved a lot of success in a short amount of time. What's on the horizon for you? Do you just want to go, like, you've got the infrastructure and you've got the foundation now laid to really grow and scale? Do you just want to just bring an avalanche of leads in and just sell and scale up?
Yeah. Scaling is, as much as I've, like, nearly 4X'd, but I don't want to do that again. I'm just planning on 2X in next year. Got to be humble.
Just a little 2X. Yeah.
Just a little 2X, yeah. But no, so Yeah, scaling is the primary thing. We're still laying the foundation. Like I just mentioned, we did, rejig around the management team. So I feel like we just need to all settle in a bit more before really trying to scale. It's the first time we've ever put a waiting list on. We've got a substantial waiting list already, ready to go. But I just want to make sure that, everything is tight and good to go. So we're redoing, again, the training program, trying to make it a little bit easier. Again, that's something I took from you. Just trying not to bombard anyone with too much information. And now I've got my ops manager. She wants to put in her ideas as well. So once that's all settled, once that's all implemented, with the new roles, I will be trying to focus more on social media. So partly lead generation. I'll be going out doing networking, cold calling for offices, and just seeing how far we can push this thing, basically. Yeah,
and you've obviously got a knack for building teams, as I'm sure you would have had experience in that with management roles in the past. But was there anything that where you really found yourself out of your depth, or you felt like you were in over your head? And did you ever have moments where you felt like quitting or giving up, or you felt like you were just doing the wrong thing as you were building the team? Or was it pretty smooth sailing?
I daren't say smooth sailing, but I have made, like I said, I have made a lot of mistakes this year because it did scale too quick. But you're right, I had a lot of experience with building teams in hospitality. So I was able to transfer that over, which is great. There's a lot of similarities, but there's a lot of differences between the two industries. So not a lot of it, I thought in my head, for instance, scheduling, I thought, I've done scheduling before, it'd be really easy. No, it's not. You've just got one place where everybody goes, and now it's all fragmented. So I wouldn't say it was plain sailing. However, touch wood, it's been all right. But the only reason I think that it's been pretty good is because I've had so many bad bosses in the past. So I kind of learned from their mistakes. And I knew what not to do rather than what to do. It kind of was, it pushed me onto the right path and what to do rather than anything else. But having the community in Booked Out Cleaners and gave me the confidence, instantly gave me the confidence to be able to just go, let's just make it happen and see what happens. Rather than waiting for the perfect moment for something, I just would just go and do it. I probably wouldn't have done that. I definitely wouldn't have nearly 4X'd if I hadn't have had that community in there. But
So it's a good point you raise as well. It's when you do any sort of coaching, or you do courses or mentoring or join a community, it's not a question of will this work or will it not work? It's more of a dial, and it's to what degree will this work? And you are going to get out what you put in. So if you're active in a community like that, and you're really you have the right attitude towards it, and you're willing to put in the work, and you really involve yourself and immerse yourself in it, you can really dial up the expected return on joining something like that. Because there's a lot of people that join it and they think it's going to be magic, their business will just evolve overnight. And it's you still have to put in the work, and you still have to have the right attitude. But it definitely makes it a lot easier, and it dials things up, and it really accelerates things. But I also want to go back to something you said, because it was interesting. You talked about how you had experience in scheduling, and then you got into this business, and it was a completely different ball game altogether.
Yeah.
I probably, when was this? 2.5, 3 years ago now, I was hiring a second in charge for my main location. So someone that could sit under the operations manager there. And it was someone within our team that said she had a lot of experience managing a schedule for, 50 or 60 people in a retail store. And we were like, cool, this is great. We can promote someone from within our team. They've got experience doing this. It's going to be great. It wasn't great. It was terrible. She did not know how to manage a schedule in a business like cleaning. It looked like she'd never touched a schedule in her life. It was honestly really bad. I spent like 6 months trying to train her, lost a lot of time and money that I'll never get back. I should have cut it off a lot sooner. But that was one of those times where like people can look good on paper and they can talk themselves up and they can, it seems like it might be the right fit, but then in practice, in the real world, it just doesn't work out. And I'm sure you've experienced that with your VAs.
Yeah.
And even with cleaners along the way, like it's just expectations seldom meet reality. And so I'm sure, I know for myself, I really just look at attitude and mindset, and then I try to train on skill. Are you sort of the same now where you just look at someone's ambition and work ethic and, personality and you're like, that's how you base your hiring decisions?
Yeah, well, just to go back to what you said there about, when you promoted someone within to do scheduling, that's what happened with my VA. So we got her on board because I kind of wanted something similar to what you had, like your, what was it? The team coordinator? Did you have a team coordinator, was it? I've forgotten now.
I forgot what the name was. We have workforce coordinators now, and they're doing great. I forgot I think maybe it was a workforce coordinator back then.
I think
that's what we were trying to get her to do.
And because this is where I was like, I need to be a bit more hands off with scheduling because I was still cleaning a lot. I still had a lot to do. So that's why we brought in one of my VAs, was to take over the scheduling. But it's not the same. And I knew this because I'd come from hospitality. I was like, geez, this is just not the same. But when they said that, they had all this experience, it was almost like they had never, like you said, touched any kind of scheduling software before and they had no idea. That's where I feel like part of the problem there was my VAs aren't actually going out cleaning. They don't know my cleaners. They don't know the small nuances of who can do what. Whereas my ops manager and myself know people. We're dealing with these people on a day-to-day basis. So that's why I decided to bring it in-house, so to speak. And that's what Kelsey, my ops manager, is doing now. But I forgot what the original question was now. I just kind of wanted to go back on there. What did you say?
I forgot too. I'm ADHD as well. So I forget the question as soon as I've asked it.
We've both lost our trail of thoughts and no one picked up on anyone else's there.
I did a similar thing as well where I tried to get a VA to do scheduling and it just doesn't really work. It doesn't make sense because you need someone that knows the people on the ground and just has a very intuitive feel over like the people and the clients and everything. And you just can't get that with a V8, no matter how switched on they are and no matter how good they are with the softwares. Like it just doesn't really work. And VAs are great for a lot of things, but they are not the like be all end all solution for everything. It's not
at all. Not at
all. You need to find the areas that they excel in, and then the areas where they don't, like you just have to look at other alternatives. Like you are going to need someone on shore to do the scheduling. That's just something that you can't delegate to someone in a different country. It just doesn't make sense.
No, it didn't. It didn't work for us. And that Gail, my VA, her experience with other areas, for example, she's absolutely incredible with hiring. So now I just leave the hiring process to her and she's just pushing through the best of the best now. In terms of your question before, what do I look for in terms of attitude and whatnot? I basically gave her what I look for, which is if they can hold a conversation, if they can be chatty, if they're asking the right questions, it doesn't matter if they have any experience in cleaning. Sometimes it's beneficial that they don't. I'd pick attitude over ability any day. I think you've mentioned this before, like some of the cleaners that have been a bit, questionable, clients love them and they just want them. And we're just like, yeah, fine, you can have that cleaner for as long as you want, and they're happy doing that, because it is all about chat, and a lot of the clients just want to have a little chat with you, and that's what it's about. So definitely attitude over ability any day. Yeah,
it's a very relational sort of business, and it's really our point of difference when, we hire employees and we don't just get contractors. I feel
Yeah.
like when you have a lot of control over culture and you build a real culture, that really sets you apart from anyone. And that's when you no longer have to compete on price and you can instead compete on like brand and service.
Yeah.
So like we have a lot of clients that they love their cleaners and they don't want anyone else to clean, which is a problem in itself. But like
Yeah.
we send like weaker cleaners to people that we just know like they're just really not good. And we'll send them to fussy people and they love them because they're the nicest people and the team we have is really, really good. And like it's because we have like one avatar that we look for and everyone we hire is aligned with that avatar. And it's the reason like every person we send into every house, we get the same feedback. Like they're so lovely. They walk in with a smile on their face. They're always chatty and very professional. And it's because that's the standard we set. That's the culture we have. And I
Yeah.
think you have to have that in a business. Like, and it does take time to build that. And it takes a lot of effort and intention. And it also costs money to do that because you got to train them properly and you got to spend money hiring people. And a lot of people aren't prepared to do that. But
Your
yeah,
staff are your biggest investment. It just seems a bit counterintuitive to not spend that time and money in your staff when they're at the forefront of it, really. It kind of baffles me sometimes. Yeah.
yeah. And also like, wages are like 70% of our expenses. So
Mm.
why wouldn't we spend, another 5% on top of that to actually make sure the 70% of money that we're spending in our business is being put to good use?
Exactly, exactly. And you don't want high turnover of staff either because it's so expensive. So to be able to keep staff on board, doing a great job, being great with clients, upholding your core values, it just seems obvious to me. Yeah.
Have you always been super intentional about that, or has that really been a big shift for you recently?
No, I think I've always been very managing people in hospitality and giving good service has always been a top priority, along with consistency, service and consistency. And when I say service, I mean like actually following through on what you say that you're going to do. Being, a personable person and inquiring about people's lives, reading energy. Not everyone wants to talk when, you're in their home or their office. I do sometimes employ people out of hospitality because they tend to have a better understanding of nonverbal cues and how to get out of certain situations a bit better. Like if a conversation is going on too long, they naturally know how to wrap it up because they've heard the bell somewhere, so they need to go and get the food. So, I've always been pretty intentional about putting energy into staff to make sure that they're doing the best that they can do. And taking the time for systems as well and making sure everyone is basically singing the same hymn from the same sheet. But that's one of the things that I've managed to bring with me from hospitality. Yeah.
I love to pluck people from hospo because they're like the perfect avatar for what we want to do because they're used to working in a fast-paced environment.
Yeah.
They're really good with customer-facing stuff. They, like you said, they know how to weed themselves out of a long conversation if they have to. They're good at time management and like they're just good at dealing with stress. And a lot of cleaning business owners I know now that are doing well actually had a background in hospo as well. So
Yeah.
it's interesting. Like it kind of primes you to just do well in this sort of business. Nurses as well. I know a lot of nurses that are now cleaning business owners and they're
Yeah.
really, really good.
People in aged care, childcare, hospitality, nurses, they're our bulk, I would say, besides students. Or vets are good as well because people love having their animals being fussed over. So it's
Yeah,
pretty good.
we got a 5-star review today, and one of the things they said in that review was, Helen is so lovely, blah blah blah, and Helen, treats our pets like they're her own. That was one of the things they said in the review.
That's so
A
sweet.
a lot of reviews have said stuff like that as well. So people do notice that and they do care about that. Obviously, it shows.
Yeah, I think one of when I started hiring more of a team, it became essential that I needed a team that knew how to deal with children and deal with pets, because we are going into family homes where there are children and the pets of all different shapes and sizes. So that became an important part of the hiring process, was how do you deal with them? It's funny, you had a good review from one of your staff. One of my clients, who, funny enough, lives around the corner from me, but I was on GHL going through the conversations the other day, and I noticed that her dog had passed away, and she wanted to let her cleaner, Caitlin, know that Winston wouldn't be there. So I messaged her and was like, oh my gosh, I've just read the message. Winston's passed away. I'm so sorry. We're thinking of you. And she was like, but does Caitlin know? And we were like, yeah, she knows. And then next thing is I get a photo sent from the client, and Caitlin's bought her flowers, got her a card and everything. And I was like, that's my team that did that. I didn't even need to provoke that. So yeah, absolutely gorgeous. So it's nice when they do stuff like that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's the stuff that you just can't train. Like, people are either going to be like that or they're not.
Yeah, exactly. And she's a vet as well. So yeah, I had 2 vets on board.
Vets are lovely people. I mean, it is not glamorous work what they do. It's very difficult, and I think we've got a couple people that are ex-vets on the team, and yeah, it's and we clean a vet, and that place is just, every night we're hearing stories about what they go through, and it's just insane.
No, I daren't ask. I don't know what your vets are like, but my 2 vets on the team are the most calm, collected. They're like swans. They get everything done, but you wouldn't know. Like, they're just the most calm people. I'm like, wow. Yeah, I don't know what yours are like, if that's a vet thing.
Yeah, ours are the same. After seeing what goes on in the back of a vet, I can tell why they're like that, because it's just
super calm.
It's like an ER on steroids. Like, you would think that it would be simpler dealing with, like, dogs and stuff, but it's like complete opposites. I feel like vets are more skilled than real doctors.
Yeah,
that's probably crazy to say, but
probably. And you can't.
We had we had 2, because we put 2 cleaners on the vet job that we do, and it's like a really late one. It finishes like 9:30 p.m. They got held up one night and they couldn't finish because a dog got rushed in like just before closing, and they had to like urgently operate on the dog, and it was like a crazy operation. They had to like split it in half and take its insides out and put them back in, rearrange them all. And meanwhile, the cleaners are just waiting to go into the like surgical room and clean it afterwards. And it's like, and they told us about it, and apparently just being there and seeing it was, it was insane. And the way they handled it was incredible. And it just goes to show, like, in cleaning, like, you just see some of the most crazy, out of this world stuff that you just wouldn't see anywhere else. And I mean, I'm sure you've got stories. We've got stories as well. Like, it never is a dull moment in cleaning, no matter where you are or what you're doing.
Not at all. And it was the same in hospitality. And I think that's why I enjoy it as well. Every day is a novelty. You just don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, there's some stories over the years, what you walk into, because you end up walking into, people's homes. You don't know what you're going to be walking into, but yeah, let's just leave it there.
Have you had any horror stories with clients or staff?
Yes, but I
anything you could share?
Because I don't know if I could share, because I'm very, I would rather probably not share. I think one of my horror stories about one of my staff, the one that just skipped over East and I didn't get the $1,000 worth of equipment. You were there when I was panicking and I was messaging you.
We actually had that happen recently. There was someone we fired. Oh, I don't know when this was. Probably 9 months ago or something, and she messaged us again probably 2 months ago and was just asking if she could have her job back, and her life is in a better place where she can manage the work easier and all that. And she was like, I've still got my kit, so I'm ready to start again. And I was like, hang on, because I saw the message. I was like, so I messaged the management. I was like, hang on, let me deal with this. I was like, basically said, I didn't even know you still had your kit. We asked you like 3 times to bring it back. And then it ended up being this back and forth for like a couple of weeks of like us asking her to bring her kit back. And it was just like one excuse after the other. And so we just gave up in the end. We were like, whatever, you can have the damn backpack cleaner and our sprays and cloths if you want. Like, it's not worth the hassle. So yeah, we had that happen recently as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've been pretty lucky that I haven't really had many horror stories when it comes to staffing. That was probably the worst one. That being the one that was quite racist and homophobic. So good riddance to
Yeah, you got to
it.
cut that out straight away.
I think that's one of the another big lesson I've learned this year is to cut out the bad apples straight away. Like, don't give them another chance. If they've shown a side to them that's detrimental to business, no, not at all. And it will look like you're just rewarding bad behavior to the good staff then, and that just sinks morale there too. So yeah, just get rid of the bad apples straight away.
Yeah, we talked about this in one of our management meetings recently where we had, because we got so many staff now, like there's always stuff happening. And there was someone who, she was just being a little bit short with people and very irritable on site. And someone had a word with her and said, that sort of conduct isn't on. And she snapped back, and then that made its way back to me. And I was like, just get rid of her. Like, that's not on. And then she, gives a story about how things are going on, and, she's like stressed out. And a lot of people will do that and they'll like blame other circumstances. But at the end of the day, like, we're all adults. We've all got stuff going on. We can control our actions, and we can choose to be, cordial around other people and a team player and just like polite and respectful, which she wasn't being. I'm like, it's not good enough to just blame that on other things and circumstances. Like, everyone goes through stuff. No one is immune to bad stuff happening in their life.
Yeah.
So yeah, we ended up firing that person as well. And this might be a controversial take, but I don't really believe in people changing their ways. Like, I think most people, I mean, sure, some rare cases, but 99% of people, if they show you their true colors, don't expect them to change their ways in a heartbeat. Like, if they're generally like rude, disrespectful, like racist, homophobic, abusive, anything, those people need to be cut out quick. Like, you need to have a really swift sword on that, because it can quickly derail a business. And I mean, I did that podcast where I talked about taking the emotion out of business.
Yeah.
It's really important, especially in these situations, to take that emotion out where you might feel like you see something good in someone, and that leads you to want to help them or like give them another chance. And that's not to say like you don't have humanity. Like, you want to have a sense of humanity where, you can be compassionate and you can give people chances, but you also want to take the emotion out that ties you to, not making the right decision despite what's logical and what's obvious, So I think that's a trap that a lot of people fall into.
I think that,
but it's good that
I think it kind of falls into, well, it was for me anyway, kind of like a people pleasing thing. You want to just be able to, you do want to be able to help people. You want to be able to assist them and that's, we're in a service-based industry where you have to have a level of, if not empathy, sympathy for other people. And that kind of, that does mean, clients and staff. But when you're people pleasing, no one's pleased, and it's only detrimental to the business if you carry on doing that. So if you're having these people on board that are technically bad apples and have shown you their true colours, other staff are just looking on going, right, yeah, great. They can just do whatever they want to do now. And you end up just, it's just not beneficial for anyone at the end of the day.
Exactly. And it's really unfair for everyone else that's watching on.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why it's so important to have core values and to have a really, intentional culture set out that you can kind of mold the team around. And then when people veer off that path or aren't aligning with that, it becomes obvious. And then that gives you, a sort of foundation or a benchmark where you can, make decisions whether or not these people are going to be right for the team moving forward. So
Yeah.
yeah, I've had to fire a few people that just no longer were a good culture fit, and it sucks when you have to do it, but like that's business. Like sometimes you're going to have hard conversations, and I've given people lots of chances. I've given some people way more chances than I should have, and every single time I learn the hard way that you just can't do that. So it's a really hard fine line that you've got to balance. But it's going back to what you said before. You know, so many people have had bad bosses and they have terrible stories about managers they've had in the past. And you don't want to be ruthless, but you also don't want to be a pushover. So it's about finding that right equilibrium between the two. And that's probably the hardest thing about building a team. How are you navigating it now with, especially because you're growing the team in such a way that they're not really going to you as much now, because you've got an ops manager, you've got a couple layers of management, and people are going to get less and less of you going forward.
Yeah.
Have you seen that as a bit of an issue, or has it been a pretty smooth transition into that?
Well, before the restructure, there was a bit of I might just turn the light on before we continue. Sorry, just so to shed a bit of light there.
That's okay.
So there were some issues initially when, before the rejig of management. So I've always kind of believed that you can't be micromanaging. You need to give your staff autonomy on what they're been given to do. Again, I think this got brought up in the Q&A recently, about just basically allowing your staff to make mistakes, and just giving the framework, and then they know what the outcome is. Just let them get there the way that they can get there. So we went through a lot of that, and I corrected them where needed to be. And that's pretty much where we're at the stage now where, I really don't need to be heavily involved in a lot of the decision making now. Kelsey, my ops manager, she's taken over a lot of that, and she's very happy to. I wanted to give her autonomy pretty much straight away. I just wanted to talk about the progression with Kelsey, because it was quite interesting. It was maybe 5 months ago. She applied just to be a cleaner, and I saw something in her, and you usually do see something in someone before they see it themselves. I was like, she's going to be a great leader. I can just see that straight away. She had high attention to detail. She's got the gift of the gab. She's a gorgeous human. I was like, yeah. So when she applied for the cleaner, I said, I think you should apply for the team leader position. And she said, I've never done anything like that before. I've never been in leadership. I was like, don't worry, I'll give you training. She literally took on board everything that I said, the mission, the core values, everything about Cardamom, and just went with it. I soon realized, maybe about 2 months ago, that she really thrived off the responsibility. And it reminded me of when I was working for other people in hospitality, where I'd find myself having a lot of drive, a lot of ideas, a lot of ways to make things bigger, better, quicker, everything in someone else's business. And they would turn around and be like, nah, like, no, there's no position for you to do this, or don't bother with that. And that just, it was one of the ways I developed burnout, because my work ethic inside was like, we can do this and we can make this better. But I was basically being told no. So the other half of me was like, don't bother. They've just told you no. And it was just this kind of like internal, struggle going on. So when I saw that Kelsey was coming up with all these ideas, she wanted to go out and do cold call. And she told me in our check-in, our 3-month check-in, that she was really proud of having the team leader title. She was like, I am the North of the River team leader for Cardamom. And I was like, oh, yep, there's my ops manager. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to be nurturing this within Cardamom. There's no way I'm letting her go now. So within the space of 5 months, she went from cleaner team leader to ops manager. And It's been the best decision. I feel like she's my Stacey. So, yeah, when it comes to any kind of decision making over staff, training, anything like that, she can make all that herself now. So, yeah, there's not really much involvement for me. And I've explained this to the team. I even reiterated it today. I said, I don't want to be the most important person in the team, because if anything was to happen to me, what would that mean for the rest of Cardamom? You are the most important people running this now. So, yeah, I keep an eye on the decision making. And obviously, if they want to sound off to me, I'm here for it. But everyone who's in the management team now knows what the core values are. As I said, the mission, what we're about. We're eco-conscious, so there's a kind of framework that we need to make the decisions around when we're making decisions, but they don't really need me to be on their back helping them through that anymore. So it's just making things a lot more streamlined. Yeah.
Yeah, great. And it really is a superpower when you can identify someone like that. And even if they don't see it in themselves, you can just see that innate ability and that potential to move them into a role that you just know they'll excel in. Like I did that with Stacey. She kind of pushed back on it and she was like, I don't know if I'd be good at this, but you can just see it in them, even if they
100%.
sometimes can't see it in themselves. And so, yeah, similar progression for me with Stacey, the way I put her into that role and just kept pushing her into it almost against her will. But then she started to realize that she was good at it, and she had a lot of strengths, even and then there were some weaknesses as well. But you just build, you build frameworks around them and you navigate that. It's not all going to be perfect, but yeah, similar thing with you, I guess. And it's really it's like lightning in a bottle when you find that, and you can can make that, and you can build the team around that. And like it's when business gets exciting, when you find these people and you bring them on board with you, and you're no longer alone at the helm of the ship.
That's it. And that's actually how I put it. I'm now just keeping the ship basically on the right path. All the rest of you are basically keeping the ship running now. That's pretty much how I put it.
Yeah, cool. Well, look, you've done amazing. You've done an amazingly good job in a very short amount of time. It's been awesome to see the progression of what you've done, and it's been great to have you in the Booked Out Cleaners community as well. And I wanted to ask as well, have you done any other like coaching things in the past, even unrelated to cleaning, but have you always, like, whenever you've wanted to get good at something, have you explored coaching or mentoring, or has this been like a first time experience?
It's a bit of a first time experience, this one. So whenever I've kind of like needed to hone in on certain skills in hospitality, say, for example, like I specialize in wine and sake. So I would always seek out sommeliers and go to them, or I would basically just study like crap and just kind of go down a rabbit hole on a particular topic. When it came to cleaning, it was just a different ball game because, well, first of all, because I didn't have my visa, I didn't really want to do anything until that was official. So, and then a few days later, I went with you. But there was a few people that approached me in the Cleaning Business Owners Australia, one in particular. Again, I think we spoke about this. And this particular person told me that I would never make a successful business with the kind of ethos of eco-conscious. So I was like, you're not for me. And that my biggest expense would be advertising. I was like, not labor, no. I was like, right, okay. I had actually gone and I bought like short courses from someone else who's pretty well known, and it became really evident quite quickly that we didn't have the same values. It was very much how to do something the quickest way possible that was good enough. And I've never been about good enough. I've always wanted to be like the best or the most efficient. I didn't ever want to cut corners. Yes, efficient, but yeah, I wanted everything to be done properly. And they were using a lot of bleach, and obviously we're eco-conscious. So I was like, we're not aligned at all. So between them two, I hadn't really found anyone. And then, I did have a mentor for one session, through Sterling Business Owners Small Business Owners Australia. It's not that one.
Oh, the Small Business Development Centre. Was it a government one?
Yeah, but it was it was part of the city of Stirling for business association, Stirling Business Association. That's the one.
Right. Yeah.
Which, if anyone listening in Perth, look to your local shire or anything like that and see what.
Yeah, they've got some pretty good resources, and there is the Small Business Development Centre, and it's free, so it's worth exploring, and yeah, you can get some really good stuff out of that.
Yeah, it's some absolutely incredible things there, and that's how I got my one session mentor. It was meant to be longer, but I'm not too sure what happened. He was actually incredible. Without mentioning names, he was one half of the team that invented the robotic arm for laser eye surgery. So it was a really interesting character that I managed to speak to. But no, you were the only one, and I feel like I've gotten everything that I needed and more that I didn't even consider from it. And now I've got my two friends, Tash and Steph, that we meet. Yeah,
I love the friendship. I love the friendship that you all have now.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing, and it's so funny because we'll all be there for your Q&A, and then after the Q&A we'll jump on
and then you do your own call, yeah,
and then we'll talk about what's been spoken about. If anyone's missed anything, we'll catch them up, because obviously not all of us can be there sometimes. And then we'll just go through problems that we have in the business at the moment, because I think we're all quite similar in where we are. I've got a bigger team because I'm planning on scaling quite soon. But the rest of it is quite similar. And even though we're all cleaning business owners, obviously in the same industry, and we're all females, we all run our businesses so different. And we've actually utilized that to our advantage by, like, I might say about how I use Zero for XYZ, and Tash might be like, never knew that. And then we'll all just go around and somehow find a new way to implement something to make it smoother or whatever. And it's just such a great community, like inside and out of it. So yeah, I'm so grateful. Thank you so much.
I'm so honored that I could have facilitated that for you. I can't take credit for your success because that's all you, but I'm glad that you found value in it. And look, there's a lot of people that might be listening to this that are possibly on the fence about getting coaching, or, I mean, I haven't necessarily been, one-on-one coaching people because I've been focused on my business, but people might be on the fence just about joining a community like this. And I am doing a relaunch soon, which I'm excited for. But what would you have to say, or what advice would you give to anyone that's like on the fence about getting coaching, or possibly even joining a community like mine?
Well, first of all, if I could go back in time, I wish I'd done it sooner. I know my circumstance at the time didn't allow me to do that, but I just wish I'd done it sooner, because it would have just given me that extra kickstart, kickboard out, and start really honing in on what's going to be beneficial to the growth of the business. You need to get involved with other like-minded people. Business can be extremely lonely. I don't know what it was like for yourself, but I found with my friends that I've not got a lot of people who kind of understand how my brain works, or how I just want to talk about.
It's really hard to integrate. Yeah.
Like,
it's really hard.
If I'm not cleaning, I'm probably dreaming about cleaning. Or when I was on holiday, I couldn't wait to get back from holiday to be part of it. And no one really understands that. They just think I'm a bit weird, but so by jumping into a community like this, it takes that element of loneliness away, and being able to sound off to other people and like you were, a lot in your head about certain decisions on, anything to do with business. You can ask away, and there's an unlimited amount of questions that have been asked over the years that you can access. There's the modules. There's what now, 2-3 years now of Q&As, and there's
3 years.
valuable information in there. Such good nuggets of information. So it wouldn't. Why are you on the fence? A lot of people find that it's themselves that hold themselves back. It is. So get off the fence and into the community.
Lovely. Awesome. And look, everyone in there is doing really well. Like, you've quadrupled your business in a year, which is insane. I've never done that. I wish I could have. Other people I've spoken to, Steph, she's killing it. Megan, who I just spoke to, again, she's killing it. Everyone in there has a shared, like, it's a common thread. Everyone is doing well in there. And I don't think that's any coincidence. I think that people who posture their mind in the direction of getting help and getting coaching and seeking out the right information are going to do well. It's really just about the intent of learning and opening your mind up to what else is possible and what else is out there. That's really the determining factor in why everyone in there is pretty much, on an upward trajectory. There's no one in there that's gone backwards. Literally no one has ever joined and then said to me like, oh, I'm doing worse than like 3 months ago or a year ago. Like, everyone has progressed.
Yeah, exactly. That would be impossible, but no, it's just been the most beneficial thing to me. I think it's just, for me, one of the reasons I believe I've scaled so quickly and done so well so quickly is because it took out that guesswork for me. If I had a question, I would just ask it rather than ruminating on it for a while. So the amount of time that I would have saved by just approaching the community, it's allowed me to do what I've done.
Awesome. Well, Jenna, you're a legend, and thank you so much for the for promoting me and talking me up like that. You've done incredibly well. To quadruple your business in a year, that is no small feat. So you should be very, very proud of that. And
thank you.
It's an amazing feat. And thank you so much for coming on the podcast and talking. That was an awesome episode, and I think everyone listening will agree as well. And it was great to be able to introduce you to the audience.
Yeah, it was great chatting as well. We both live in Perth and we still haven't even met yet.
I know, we need to do a Perth meetup soon. I reckon after the relaunch, I'll get a few more Perth people in because there's only like 4 of us, and then we'll do a proper meetup. And I really want to start doing workshops at some point. I want to do like live events because every time I go to a live event, anything business related, I always walk away with ideas and inspiration and motivation. So I'd love to do that for the cleaning space.
Yeah.
Hopefully that's around the corner. But again, Jenna, thank you so much for coming on. You were awesome to talk to. You're doing awesome things. Keep it up, and I'll see you inside the community.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Unreal. All right, you smashed that.